Hi, my name is David Ruben. Today I'm going to talk about Chapter 7 bankruptcy. What is Chapter 7 bankruptcy? There are two kinds of bankruptcies that individuals file as opposed to businesses, and they are Chapter 7 and Chapter 13. Chapter 7 is the most common kind of bankruptcy that there is. It's the cheapest, it's the easiest, it's the quickest. What does Chapter 7 do? Well, Chapter 7 will help you eliminate unsecured debts, such as credit cards, medical bills, judgments, repossessions, evictions. If you're in a car accident and there's an insurance violation and you owe the insurance company money, it can get rid of that. So there's all sorts of debts that can be discharged in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Some debts are not discharged in Chapter 7. That would be a student loan, some debts owed to the government. When you call my office and ask questions about Chapter 7, I'm going to talk to you and give you a free consultation on the phone, and I'm going to offer you to come into the office and talk about it too. But I'm going to ask you some questions, and within about 5 minutes I'm going to know whether or not you're eligible to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And what I'm going to ask you is this. First of all, I'm going to ask you how much money you make, because in Chapter 7 bankruptcy you can't make too much money. There's something called a means test. And a means test is an amount of money that you earn relative to how many people are in your household. And if you make too much money, you may not be eligible. If you make less than the amount of money that's too much money, then you will be eligible for Chapter 7. I'm also going to ask you what kind of property you have. Do you own a home? You can still file Chapter 7 bankruptcy if you own a home, but you can't have a lot of equity in your home. So I'm going to ask you about that to determine whether or not Chapter 7 bankruptcy is right for you. And I'm also going to ask you how many people live in your household, because that's important to determine whether or not you make too much or too little money. I'm going to ask you whether you're married, and most importantly, I'm going to ask you how much debt that you do have. Does it make sense for you to file bankruptcy? And after a few minutes, we're going to determine whether or not Chapter 7 bankruptcy is right for you. If it turns out that you don't make too much money and you don't have a lot of property and you haven't filed Chapter 7 in the last 8 years, and you do have the kind of debt that's dischargeable in bankruptcy, then we're going to suggest to you that you do a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. It's going to eliminate that debt. You're not going to give away any of your property if you don't have a lot of property. You're going to be able to keep your house if there's not a lot of equity in it and you're current on the mortgage. And you're always going to be able to keep your car in a Chapter 7. A lot of people call and say, can I still keep my car even though I'm getting rid of my debts? And the answer 99% of the time is yes. Of course you can keep your car, because you have to be able to drive to and from work. So those are the questions I'm going to ask you. And if it works for you, it's going to give you what we call a fresh start. And what does that mean? It means that at the end of the 4-month period after you file the bankruptcy, all your debts are going to be gone and you're going to get a fresh start. People ask me with Chapter 7, well, how long is it going to stay on my credit report? Is it going to affect me for the rest of my life? Am I going to lose my job because of it? Are people going to look down on me? Is the public going to be aware of it? The answers to all those questions is no, it's not. You're going to be able to rebuild your credit quickly. Chapter 7 stays on your credit report for 7 to 10 years, but what's important is that after a couple years, you're going to be able to improve your credit score after Chapter 7. In fact, people get letters in the mail from companies who sell cars and offer financing for cars right away after they file. They get their discharge papers in the mail 4 months after they file, and boom, they're able to go buy a car. Same thing with credit cards. People get solicitations in the mail from credit card companies, because at that point you have no more debt and you're actually a better credit risk, assuming you're working and you have a steady income. You're going to be able to get credit. And people say, well, am I ever going to be able to buy a house? And the answer is yes, you are going to be able to buy a house. Usually it takes about 2 or 3 years to get back on your feet to buy a house. So if you have any questions about Chapter 7 and what debts you can get rid of and what you can't and how it works, feel free to call me, shoot me an email. I'll be happy to help you. It's a free consultation on the phone, by email, in the office. We've been doing this for more than 25 years, and we'll be happy to help you.